right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is you're watching or listening to this podcast. Welcome to Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff as we recap the Eagles and Bengals game. Finally, well, I shouldn't say finally. We've now had 2 straight weeks in a row. I guess this just kind of further puts a exclamation mark on the Giants' victory, followed up with another a game where the Eagles just come out there and play the way that we all know that they're capable of playing, and then blowing out another team. Now the Giants, we know they stink, but the Bengals, that was a team that is a good team at home and a desperate team because they started off the season slow like the Eagles did, even slower than the Eagles. They started off 0-3, so this was a big kind of must game for them, and the Eagles just came out. Again, they didn't score in the first quarter. It wasn't really their fault this time because the Bengals' long first drive ate up about 10 minutes of that first quarter. So don't really, even though the streak continues with Eagles having scored in the first quarter, it wasn't really because of offensive ineptitude like it's been for the most part this season. So, but nevertheless, the streak still continues that the Eagles have not scored in the first quarter this year. But after they fell, behind 7-0, the Eagles just took the game over. And we're going to get into, a lot of my thoughts as far as, who I thought really stood out in this game. And then we're going to have a follow-up episode. We're going to bring Matt on like we normally do every week. That episode will probably be on Thursday. Could be tomorrow night, too. I'm trying to figure out with Matt's schedule, what works best for him. But it's possible it could be right back on here tomorrow night. So make sure you check out for that. By the way, before I forget, make sure you sub. Maybe even more important than even a sub, comment. I mean, part of the reason why I moved this podcast from, just the audio platforms like Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, and all the others where you can have found Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff for the past 2 years. I moved it to the YouTube so that we can have interaction. I wanted to start interacting with the audience. I'm starting over, building a brand new audience here on YouTube. So the only way you can do that is to get, subs rather. So sub me and then leave a comment, because what we'll do right now, we're going to eventually do live streams. But I can't do live streams. It doesn't make much sense until we get the audience built up enough where it makes sense to do that. So the only way you can do that is to get subs. And I'm not going to sit here and beg for subs. In fact, this is the last you're going to hear from this video. But sub me, write a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the game. Very interested to hear what you think. All right, now let's move on. So Eagles win 37-17 in a very impressive game. I think this is the best, most complete game that I've seen the Eagles play for maybe almost 2 years. I don't know if they had a game like this even last year when they were 10-1, where they just, played well in all aspects of the game, offense, defense, special teams. Even when they were 10-1, you guys remember last year, they had some games where they played well. I remember the Buffalo game, they played pretty well. They had to come back and win that one at the end. The Kansas City game was very tight. So they played well in some games during that 10-1 stretch, but a lot of those games, remember we're saying that they kind of just had to eke out a win or hold on for the win. And they never really thought that the Eagles were playing full throttle, even in their 10-1 start last year. They're winning games, and that's the bottom line, is to win. But to just be able to go out there and just, impose your will on the opponent. And that's what the Eagles have done the last 2 games. Now, again, can't put a lot into the Giants game. The Giants are what they are. They just lost again tonight to the Steelers. They're 2-5 or whatever they are. Just a bad team. But it was in New York, and the Giants are a little bit better than they were last year. And then, again, the Cincinnati game is much more of an impressive performance. So the Eagles seem to be getting things going. And let's just hope that they continue. You got a Jacksonville team that's going to be desperate next week. With our old coach, Doug Peterson, coming in here, his job is on the line. A lot of people are not sure if he's going to make it after this season. They're not playing well. They just lost. I think their wide receiver, Christian Kirk, is out for the season. I think their other guys banged up, so they're coming here wounded and desperate. And those are dangerous teams. They always are. And Jaguars always play the Eagles tough anyway, in Philly especially. I've been to the last 2 times they played in Philly. I've been to those games. And the Eagles have had to come back to win both of them. So, don't just think this one's in the bank. But the way the Eagles are playing right now, they should handle the Jaguars, and then that sets up the big game versus the Cowboys, who are also struggling the following week. So yeah, it's all right in front of the Eagles. They got a very good chance of before that big Washington game to be 6-2, I think. Yeah, because they're 4-2 now, right? Or 5-2, whatever. They to be just with 2 losses heading into that game. Now Washington, give them credit. They probably should have lost that game to the Bears, but they had a fluky, Hail Mary that was, I don't even know that was caught by some no-name wide receiver. But, sometimes you create your own luck. Good teams create their own luck. That's the way I look at it. So, yeah, they should have lost that game. They didn't. And there's a great video of whoever number 29 is on the Bears, who's like taunting the fans. In fact, he's not even paying attention to when the ball was even snapped. And Daniel's already running around just kind of buying time. The guy's still mocking the fans and like taunting the fans. And then he turns around and is like, oh, the play's going on. Then he ends up running over once the ball's in the air for the Hail Mary and tries to slap the ball away, ends up just popping it kind of backwards. And then there's the Washington receiver to catch in the end zone sitting by himself. Give Washington credit. Game's not over till it's over. And, definitely a lucky, fluky win, but you take it, especially a team like Washington who's, trying to establish themselves as a contender. You got to be lucky in this league too. You got to win and you got to get lucky sometimes. And Washington got a lucky break there. So it's very possible that both of those teams in that Thursday night matchup are going to be, I'm not sure if Washington's got a bye before that game, but it looks like it's possible both of those teams will have just 2 losses. The Eagles-Cowboys game is going to be tough because Dak always plays well against the Eagles, number one. Plus, it's in Dallas, and that's going to be probably a desperate team at that point as they're reeling right now also. And they're going to look at that as a divisional game where maybe they can start writing their season. Certainly, it's an NFC East battle, so those are always tough. So, that's tough for the Eagles to have back-to-back games versus Dallas and Washington. So that's going to be tough either way. But it'll be more of an important game for the Eagles on that Thursday night than it would be Washington for a couple of reasons. One, if they end up both having 2 losses, if Washington doesn't have the bye, and I don't know if they have a bye between now and then, I'm not sure. I don't think they do. They'll probably have one more win than the Eagles. So, number one, they would have a little bit of an edge there. Plus, keep in mind, the Washington team's playing with a last place schedule the rest of the way, or, the whole way. So they have an easier schedule than the Eagles do as well. So that'll be an important game for the Eagles to win. Plus, they'll be at a home. So the only thing is it's going to be a short turnaround from the Dallas trip. So, all right, let's get into the game now. Just wanted to do a recap. Apologize for being not as quick as far as a post game. I know I said I'd be on after the game, but my schedules are just so tight the last couple of weeks. I know the week before I was out of state and I wasn't able to do the post game right after the game. This weekend, I forgot that I had a show. I have a side business where I have a sports card and memorabilia business, and I had a trade show on Sunday. Most of them are on Saturday. This one happened to be on Sunday at the end of the month. And so I wasn't able to even watch the game. I was getting some text from Matt. He was kind of keeping me updated a little bit, but I had to watch the game, obviously, before I could do a post game, and I didn't get home till like 5 o'clock. So, needless to say, I couldn't do the post game on Sunday, as I originally planned. Watched the game and want to give my thoughts on it. So, what's the most important thing I think coming out of this game is the fact that the Eagles are really starting to show and come together offensively and defensively, like both sides of the field. We knew they had the offense of talent on there. What we wanted to really see probably was the defense and the fact that they weren't getting any sacks or weren't getting any pressure the first few weeks of the season and giving up some big plays or long drives, and then they'll stop teams on third down. All those type of things really starting to materialize, and where the Eagles are not only getting pressure, but playing well against the pass. They've done better against the run. They're getting pressure, and they're really stopping teams from scoring. They've been much better defensively, just holding them out of the end zone. So this is the first time this year that the Eagles have played a elite quarterback. I mean, Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I know some people are down on Burrow because he's had a couple off seasons. He was injured last year and those type of things, but he's still an elite quarterback. I mean, this guy, if they ever get him an offensive line, those of you who may have forgotten how good he was when he first started his career, first couple seasons, will quickly jump back on board saying, oh, yeah, I forgot Joe Burrow's good. I've never jumped off the Joe Burrow bandwagon. I think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks in the – I think he's one of the great quarterbacks in the game. And he started off the game with 5 minutes left in the second quarter. Okay, so just before halftime, he was actually 13 for 15 for 110 yards and a touchdown. That was with about 5 minutes into the second quarter. So into the second quarter, that was his stats: 13 to 15, 110 yards and a touchdown. Can't do much better than that, folks. So he got off to a really hot start, and the Eagles also had no answer for Mike Gesicki. I mean, the talented tight end. He was really good in his Miami years, and he's kind of tailed off the last couple of years, but we know that guy could play, and he was just eating up the Eagles. They couldn't cover him. He was making these one-handed ridiculous catches. He was really hurting the Eagles early on in the game. They did shut him down in the second half. They really did. So whatever adjustments they made, they were able to kind of quiet him. Jamar Chase, he got his touchdown early. That was a great design play, by the way. A lot of people are like, what the heck is Nolan Smith covering Jamar Chase for? I mean, that's certainly not an ideal coverage. Maybe the Eagles should have, called the timeout before that play. It's tough sometimes to eat timeouts that early in the game, so I understand why they did it. But that's the reason why. I mean, I keep calling him Jamar Chase. Jamal Charles used to play for the Kansas City Chiefs. Jamar Chase lined up in the backfield in a running back position to start the play, which, when you look at defensive assignments, Nolan Smith's obviously in whatever defensive call they had, his job on that particular play was not necessarily even to rush the quarterback. He was obviously on that play. He was a coverage call for him, whatever the scheme was, and his job was to cover the running back out of the backfield. Now, kudos to the Bengals because they put the running back as Jamar Chase, and he obviously ran a sort of like I won't say a wheel route because they weren't that far down the field, but he ran similar to a wheel route where he came out around the side and then just kind of did a quick comebacker in the end zone. And, you can't expect Nolan Smith to cover Jamar Chase. So it was just a very well executed call by the Bengals. Got to give him credit for that. They won that play really on matchup and scheme. So good job to them. So the Eagles, were down 7-0 with a touchdown pass to Jamar Chase. Now, the rest of the game, the Eagles really shut down Jamar Chase. I mean, he didn't really do much. In fact, they even got an interception from him late with that great play by Isaiah Rodgers, tapping it over to CJ. Just a fantastic play. He was totally all over Chase on that play and made a great play. So right off the bat, though, in this game, I think it might have been the first play of the game even. It was early, second play of the game that I recall. The guy I talked about last week, and the guy that those of you who have been following me the audio days, even before YouTube, you guys know what my initial thoughts were when I drafted Nakobe Dean, what I projected about Nakobe Dean, when I said within 3 years, Nakobe Dean would be the leader of this defense. That's what I said. That was a proclamation that I made when I drafted him before he even took a snap in the NFL. That's what I said. I've looked bad on that prediction since, and I've eaten a lot of crow, and I have sucked it up and said, you know what? I think I might be wrong about Nakobe Dean. Right now, it looks like I'm completely wrong about Nakobe Dean. I was saying that as early as a few weeks ago, right here on YouTube. But with that being said, I never stuck a fork in him. I just said it's not looking good. It's, most of my predictions, come true, or at least I kind of, um, let's just say I'm not wrong too often. But this is one instance where I was like, you know what? Made a mistake. I misjudged this guy. Now, still don't know how good this guy's going to be. Don't know if he is ever going to be the defensive captain. However, he is, being the middle linebacker, the guy that's calling the signals now and getting the defense organized. And so that's, one of the steps into becoming, defensive captain. But I don't want to jump to conclusions. Right now, I just want to talk about right now. And right now, Nakobe Dean is starting to show us that he might be able to stick in the league. Like, I was thinking, even myself, I started to have doubts of whether he's going to be able to even be on this team in a couple of years, let alone be the defensive captain like I, predicted initially. But right off the bat, part of being a captain is to send a message. Brian Dawkins also, did that. And again, I'm not trying to equate him to Brian Dawkins. I'm just saying that these are the type of things you look for in your leaders, setting the tone, sending a message early. And on the first and second play of the game, you saw that swing out pass to the running back. I think it was the running back, or maybe it was a quick pass to the flat. And Nakobe Dean stuck him, tackled him hard, a big-time hit, and drove him backwards. Those are the type of plays that you look for from your, quote, leaders. So I thought Nakobe Dean early on, sent a message that hit. Now, they ended up going 10 minutes on a drive and scoring a touchdown. But still, it was good to see. And Nakobe Dean overall had another good game. Quite a few tackles. I didn't see him. Now, he didn't play in coverage a lot, which is really where he struggles. But he's getting to be really good at diagnosing run plays, getting his nose in there, making tackles, bringing the guy down when he makes a tackle. He's getting better there. And he's always been good blitzing, and he had another sack, I believe, this past week as well. I think he had a sack. I know he had a fumble recovery late, but not so sure on the sack, so don't quote me on that. But anyway, the bottom line is Nakobe Dean had a really strong game. So this is 2 games in a row now where Dean has stepped up his game. So he needs to continue to do that, continue to build off it, and continue to stay healthy so that he can continue to gain experience. And the other guy I want to talk about, of course, this guy is going to be a huge fan favorite. I said it. Well, no, I don't know if I said it, so I'm not going to take credit for something I didn't say it. I maybe have felt it, but I haven't said it yet. I think Cooper DeJean is going to be a big time fan favorite, and he's already got me juiced up. He has made such a difference, and I think just the attitude of the defense since he's been starting now for a couple of weeks. He hits hard. He's an aggressive tackler. He's a good blitzer. He can obviously cover guys with his skills as a cornerback. And he made what I think is the play of the game. You may say Devontae Smith's touchdowns play of the game. Okay, I'll give you that. I'm not going to dispute it. That was a phenomenal catch by Devontae Smith. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But that fourth down, it was a third down play where Brandon Graham stuffed the run, forced the 4th and 1. They threw it out in the flat, quick pass to Chase. Off, when he was going in motion, you see Cooper sticking with him. As they were going in motion, they were trying to create space for Chase to just get open. Cooper, fouled. As soon as he threw it over there, Cooper darted and made a phenomenal tackle on one of the best wide receivers in the league. So major props for Cooper DeJean. That was a huge play and created the turnover on downs later in the game when that was really the Bengals' really last charge that they're going to have a chance to stay in that game. And so Cooper DeJean made just a huge play. Want to give a shout out, kind of getting into the thumbs up of the games. So obviously, Cooper DeJean and Nakobe Dean, 2 thumbs up. The other guy I mentioned is Fred Johnson. I mean, he's in there again for second straight week. Again, from Mailata, and playing against one of the better defensive ends in the league. Shut him down. He didn't get a sack. So you have to, give major credit for Fred Johnson. He played a great game. Major props to him as he's holding the fort down until we get Mailata back, who's still, probably a couple weeks away at least. So that was great to see. Really good job there by Fred Johnson. Van Sumeren, who's now playing part-time fullback for this team. Also a special teams ace and, backup linebacker. He doesn't play linebacker too often, but he's now becoming a kind of makeshift fullback and doing some lead blocking for Barkley and Gainwell and doing a really good job. So thumbs up for Van Sumeren. Isaiah Rodgers talked about the interception. He came in for Slay, who got injured later in the second half, and then made that nice deflection into CJ for the pick when they tested him out against covering Jamar Chase. So good jobs for Rodgers filling in. Obviously, A.J. Brown, some big catches on third down. Just some big catches. He's quiet in terms of scoring this week, but A.J. just did his thing out there. Devontae Smith. I love Devontae Smith. I just, as much as how great A.J. Brown is, we all know how great he is. We all love A.J. Brown. Love Devontae Smith. They need to use him more. I mean, the fact that he only had 2 catches against the Giants the other week ago was ridiculous. I mean, that's just, you can't do that. You can't do that offensively. So Kellen Moore needs to get in the ball more. They got him the ball more in this game, and he responded, of course, with a great game. Great pass by Jalen. Took a shot, one-on-one coverage down the seam, and just gave Devontae a ball that he could make a play on. And Devontae made the play. I mean, that's what Devontae does. He is, especially for his size, I just never give the guy enough credit for his toughness. I mean, this guy makes tough plays. He gets, he bounces back from getting hit. For a guy his size, you just love his mentality. He's a winner player. He's a tough-minded player. He's got the best hands on his team, I still say. And that was an amazing over-the-shoulder catch. And the guy had tight coverage on him. It wasn't like he beat his guy by a lot, Again, Jalen just threw a really good pass, gave him a shot at it, and Devontae Smith pulled it down. So awesome. It's good to get him going. And the Eagles just need to keep him in the game plan. They should, both him and A.J. Brown should at least get 7 or 8 targets per game, minimum. All right. So, I mean, I would always make sure that happens. BG, we talked about, made that big play in the third down. He just continues to play. He doesn't look like he's 36 years old or whatever he is. BG just keeps, using his team leadership and just experience. And obviously he still can play this game, and he's helping out a lot. The only thumbs down that I have for this game, is the tush push. Talked about it last week too. I am getting tired of the tush push. Actually, probably exclusively, not especially. I don't mind when they do it on 4th and 1. I don't mind that, or 3rd and 1 even. Don't mind that if you're trying to keep a drive alive and you're, I would still hand it to Barkley, every once in a while there. But I don't mind it when it's there. But when you're on the goal line and it's first down and you're 1 or 2 yards away, hand the ball to Barkley. There's no need to run tush pushes when it's first down and goal from the 2 or the 1 or the goal line. Hand the ball off to Barkley. The one that really killed me is the drive in the 4th quarter where Barkley drove them all the way down. He had 2 or 3 runs of like 15, 18 yards or whatever, drove them all the way down to the 2, and then they tush push it in. Stop doing that. Give the ball to Barkley. It's my only thumbs down. If that's my only thumbs down, it's a good game for the Eagles. So Matt had the Eagles losing to the Bengals 31-28. I had the Eagles winning 27-26. So both of us were looking at a close game. Both of us were wrong about that. Points wise, we were pretty close. Matt was in the 30s. I was just about 30. So as far as the predictions went, that is how that went. So not really a lot to talk about as far as the game, other than it was just a really impressive win. Like I said, in all aspects of the game. Even finally got Jake Elliott out there to kick some field goals too, because he's been almost non-existent most of the season in terms of kicking field goals. So good job by all. It was a big win on the road, an impressive win just in terms of how they did it. I thought Jalen Hurts. Let's talk about Hurts. I didn't talk about him with the thumbs up. He's also thumbs up. Clearly, he had his best game in a while. I thought he ran when it was the right time for the run. He wasn't, and when he ran this time, he looked more. He just looked more confident running the ball in this game. Like sometimes he takes off and I don't know, he just looks like he's slower or unsure, uncertain. Like it seems in this game when he took off, he was, running with a purpose. And he ran at the right times. Passing wise, obviously, we talked about the Devontae throw. I thought he was very accurate in this game, throwing the ball, which is an improvement because there's times this year he has not been accurate. So I thought that was very good. And yeah, I just thought Jalen managed the game very, very well. I thought he spread the ball around. I thought he ran well and managed ball, accurate. The throw to Devontae was, very, very good, executed well. And I didn't see much of him, darting off to the right and escaping the pocket with phantom pressure. So that is something I've always and I will continue to harp on with Jalen Hurts. And he's done much better since the bye week in that area. So, and just overall playing well. And he's not turning the ball over either. That's obviously something that is critical. So I think it's 3 games in a row now where Hurts is not throwing the ball over. Not been picked off or fumbled. So that's got to continue as well. And it's no coincidence that when the Eagles not turn the ball over, they're winning the games. That's definitely not a coincidence. All right, so going to keep this one short. We're going to talk more about it. We'll get Matt on. We'll talk. We'll have his thoughts on this game, and then we'll start taking a closer look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we'll talk a little bit about what's happening around the league. So thank you again for watching. Make sure you take a second and sub. I'll thank you right now in advance. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think, your thoughts are. If you do leave a comment, ask a question, or just leave a comment, we'll talk about it next episode. All right. So make sure you do that. All right. In the meantime, take care. Fly, Eagles, fly. And we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone. See you.